Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to start my remarks with the words of appreciation. First, I thank the organizers for providing me with the opportunity to express Ukrainian view in front of such a distinctive audience. Taking this opportunity, I should also thank all and each of you and the United States of America for supporting Ukraine in the past and these crucial for my country days. Strong and continuous international support has been one of the critical factors that allows Ukrainian nation not only to repel the Russian aggression today, but also to look into the future with hope and great degree of confidence. Obviously, Ukrainian public's attention is preoccupied with the developments and breaking news from the front line. However, while the Russian-Ukrainian war remains in its active phase and the perspective of peace looks very uncertain, both in terms of time and its substance, there is also a discussion about the post-war period. And here we come to the main challenges. Ukrainian forces, as we all know, are still suffering from the lack of fighting capabilities, namely, but not only, long-range artillery system, aircraft, missile defense, and air power. And as long as the Russian forces are able to fire 10 shells against one response from our side, launch dozens of cruise missiles, ballistic missiles, at military and civilian targets all around Ukraine without any response, we can hardly expect any success at the negotiating table. Sustainable peace needs and depends not only in military victory, but also a reliable peace agreement and clear perspective for the post-war reconstruction. During the first days and weeks of the foreign invasion, Ukrainian government demonstrated extremely effective crisis management, addressing critical and complex issues of the national defense, relations with allies, and adaptation of the country's life in a wartime. Meanwhile, the unconditionally justified approach of avoiding standard procedures for the sake of urgency creates also risks of unexpected short-term consequences and mid- and long-term negative impacts on conflict dynamics as well and on a post-war reconstruction. Making decision under pressure of time and radical circumstances narrows possibilities for considering all the alternatives for the best possible policies that take into account real situation in different spheres of government's responsibility and in the society, citizens' attitude toward government's decision, plans and actions. And here we see the main challenge that Ukraine will probably feel consequences nowadays in the near future. In particular, the risk of premature decisions has already become visible in the ongoing process of the post-war reconstruction planning. As was mentioned above, despite the active phase of the war, a discussion about future post-war reconstruction is gaining a positive momentum. One of the most popular ideas is introduction of the radically new models in the different areas of country's life, i.e. economy, energy, defense, house construction, etc., that must ensure dynamic developments, reliable security, and full compliance with the EU standards. Therefore, permanent monitoring and comprehensive analysis of the official policies and assessment of proposed and implemented decisions upon their fulfillment and effectiveness seems to be especially crucial in time of war. And this paradigm must be introduced in the planning process as early as possible. The condition of society and social mood is very important for policy monitoring and comprehensive policy assessment. Ukraine's initial outstanding success in repealing of the full-scale Russian invasion should not hide the fact that the war caused destruction on a scale comparable not only to the implication of the World War II. Massive outflow of refugees to the EU countries, about 5 million people in Europe, and displacement of millions of people inside Ukraine, about 10 million, put serious questions about the ability of the national government to manage this crisis and endurance of the Ukrainian society in general. That is why it is necessary to conduct a comprehensive social analysis and in-depth observation of the key indicators of the social stability in Ukraine. It is important to begin assessment of the efficiency of the government policies and foreign aid provided to Ukraine, especially on the regional, community level, and where policy decisions and humanitarian supplies are tested by the real demands of the common citizens. So here I see our mission as a think tank to assist our governments in policy making and implementation by offering our instruments for independent policy analysis, including sociological research for permanent monitoring of public support for government's policies and actions. Therefore, Razumkov Centre, as well as other think tanks, remain full of life in their traditional and properly adjusted to the new circumstances fields of activities. One of our main mission is to communicate a Ukrainian point of view to the international community. That is why, thanks again for having me on this panel, and I'd be happy to answer your questions.